Paper Mario: The Origami King has made its debut to a swarm of controversy. Many wanted a new RPG, but others appreciated the fresh style. Today, I'll be suggesting ways to improve the experience, as well as possible additions I'd like to see the game receive. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and get ready to hear my ideas unfold, because today, I'm upgrading Paper Mario: The Origami King. Let's start with some minor tweaks I'd like to see. Let me speed up text by pressing B or something. There's a lot of text in this game, and I'm a fast reader, making this very frustrating in general. Sometimes the text would finish, and it would just sit there for 5 seconds before even giving me the option to continue. It's kinda strange, and it might have been a bug, but either way, this is something that needs fixing. Also, I'd like the option to skip cutscenes. It wasn't a big deal on my first playthrough, but if I ever wanted to replay the game, having to rewatch every cutscene again would get frustrating pretty quickly. Okay, those could conceivably be added in some sort of patch, and also they're minor niggles that won't ruin the game for anyone. Here begin my ramblings about the impossible additions or changes. Let's start off with not taking away a status effect when a new portion of the map loads. This ended up being very frustrating at a particular point in my playthrough. I was trying to cross this gap in Toad Town, but it was too far to jump. Then I realized that there was a speed potion I could drink, and I thought, maybe that's how you do it. So I bought one, went into the house, and the status disappeared. Nothing like figuring out the solution to a puzzle, and then having the game say no without giving you a good reason for it. And lastly, for my tweaks, the fast travel system needs to be upgraded considerably. There are two ways to fast travel in this game, through the pipe system and through fax travel. Very funny, Nintendo. Fax travel is pretty much worthless though. The only one you're really going to be using are the pipes, which don't take you to the places you want to go. Instead, if I take the pipe to World 1, I have to trek through Overlook Mountain and Picnic Road to get to Toad Town, which is the only place in World 1 you'll actually want to be. It has shops, a decent amount of secrets and collectibles, and you'll have to return there throughout the game. They could have written a better system into the game. I bet they could do it as mail. Just mail yourself to a specific place. Now, let's address the biggest problems in the game. The ones with the battle system. Sure, maybe it could have used a bit better story pacing. The constant setbacks were demoralizing. And even though I loved the music, it got a bit repetitive after staying in the same area for multiple hours at a time. And some of the puzzles were just poorly designed. But the biggest complaint I've seen about this game has been about the battle system, and I'm inclined to agree. Before we start discussing specific improvements for the battle system, there are a few things you have to understand about it. Most importantly, there are actually two battle systems in this game, which I'll be referring to as Realtime and Ring. Realtime occurs when you battle on the map by swinging your hammer, and Ring is the controversial new puzzle system where you have to line up the enemies so you can hit them effectively. And I'll be covering both of these because neither is great. It's like the executives were fighting about which would work better, so they ended up adding a half-baked version of both. Now, before I get into the problems and solutions of each, let me just say that the ring-based boss battles are fantastic. Definitely the best parts of the game, really embracing the puzzle-solving aspect of each and making them all unique. So I won't be upgrading those because I like them as is. Let's save the best, or worst rather, for last, and start with the real-time battles. These aren't nearly as prevalent throughout the game, but they still appear fairly often and just don't have much meat to them. The problem here is that Mario only has two actions, jumping and using the hammer, his normal moveset. And jumping is almost worthless against these paper macho enemies, so it just consists of easily dodge, hit weak point with hammer, repeat. Once you know how an enemy operates, there's absolutely no challenge anymore. One easy way to mix things up is putting the weak spot in a place the player needs to jump for, like on top of an enemy. I also think it would be cool if I could use some special hammers, like those I can use during ring battles. Come on, let me use my legendary hammer to beat up paper mache. I think some miniature versions of magic circles would also go great in one of these fights. What if you could hit one from far away with your 1000-fold arms, or freeze it in ice? These things are currently only available in ring battles, but should definitely have methods of doing the same in real time. and I think the last way to improve this type of battle is to have multiple enemies at once. This happened very rarely, but when it did, it was a lot more fun, because you had to keep track of many things instead of just one. The finale of this video. I've got a lot to say on the topic, so this subsection will have subsections. Many of these problems apply to the game in general, but are most prominent in ring battles, so I decided to put them all here. They lack a feeling of progression, any form of challenge, movement and attack options, variety, and a sense of accomplishment. As I moved through the game, I never really got the sense of becoming more powerful. Sure, when a weak enemy showed up late game, I could OKO them, but in general, enemies just became more powerful as I got more health and attack power. I never felt special or powerful, it just felt the same the whole way through. There are a number of ways to fix this, because you do unlock new abilities throughout the game. Problem is, you can only use them in boss battles, and only some of them at that. We need miniature versions of the elemental powers that you can use in battle to manipulate the arena and attack enemies in new ways. What should happen is that as the enemies become more complex, so does my moveset, but we'll get to that a bit later. And some people want an experience point system back. Done properly, it could go a long way towards fixing this, so I support that. These things are some of the easiest battles I've ever had in a video game. Some of the lineup puzzles are challenging, yes, and I didn't figure them out every single time, but I'd almost always beat them the next time. I went into multiple battles with a quarter of my health left, but the puzzles and blocking were so easy that I could just breeze through them. I never died once during these normal types of puzzle battles. Not once. I occasionally died during a world map challenge and during a few of the boss fights, but the incredible skill it requires to lose one of these battles makes them inherently unfun. No challenge, no interest. And if by some miracle I was getting low on health, I'd just eat a mushroom. It's too easy. Here's one of the main things that contributes to the shallow and easy feeling of ring battles. There are only two ways to attack, forward or in a square. 3, I guess, if you count using a PAL block. Sure, you can use different things to attack in these directions, but you won't often run into enemies weak to a particular element, so it's not worth much. We need more ways to attack, and we need every enemy to have a weakness and a strength to something. What if you have a lightning bolt, which will jump between enemies, but will get weaker with each jump, so you'll have to plan its course to pick off the stragglers? Or another kind of weapon, the sword, which hits every enemy exactly one space from Mario in a cool spin. Another thing, instead of just having items deal damage, can you have them give effects as well? Why can't the ice flower freeze opponents in place? The effect's already in the game. We just discussed the lack of variety in Mario's options, but the battles themselves need more variety as well. Specifically, the maps and enemies. Making the arena more interesting is easy, and it's something they experimented with during boss battles. Even if they don't want to make each and every one different, which they could do by changing the number of rings and spaces, they can have a different ring for each area. The desert area could have sand that allows certain enemies to move before Mario can, for instance. Quicksand, I guess. Some more of this, Nintendo, and it'll stop feeling like every battle is the same, and I'll actually want to play them instead of avoiding them like the plague. And now, the combination of all 4 issues I just talked about. No sense of accomplishment for completing a ring battle. A dull, unvaried battle system that was only fun for the first few hours of the game. Obviously, fixing what I just discussed would take a lot of work, but I plan to touch on the rewards from a battle in this final section of the video. Nothing but coins. Never experience, never a cool item, just coins! But coins are good, you say. Yeah, except for the fact that they're worthless in this game. Occasionally a map obstacle requires payment to pass by it, which is contrived and lazy in itself, but they're even worthless in shops. Coins are so easy to come by that halfway through the game, I made a shopping trip and bought everything I need for the entire rest of it. We need better rewards than coins and a better feeling than, good, that's finally over, every time a battle ends. The ring battle system is really what needs upgrading in this game. Thankfully, it's what it lacks that makes it boring, not an inherent part of it. I like the idea, but it's woefully underdeveloped. Oh, and the other things I talked about would be great if they were fixed too. But what did you guys think of my suggestions to fix the wrinkles in this game? Make sure to leave a comment with your thoughts, and to like and subscribe if you did indeed enjoy the video. I hope to see you later, everyone!